It's so nice to see you. It's so nice to be here. You will probably wonder how come that Professor Jana has suddenly turned into somebody else, much like Amida. Well, the idea is that we will give this presentation together. So this is my dean and my dear colleague and friend Jana غرشيك. I'm Peter Radlich from Zagreb University of Applied Sciences. Today we will be talking about, we come from Zagreb University of Applied Sciences, so we will be talking about something very applied. But first of all, I would like to thank to the organizers and who invited us here and who really made this beautiful event happen. And I think it's just an amazing opportunity and experience to be here with you and to see these wonderful experiences from all over the Arab world. So thank you so much for the invite, and of course our Chinese friends as well who made all these things happen. I'm really again honored to call them friends now. Okay, so we'll begin with the presentation. I think that the best way to go is to just can I change slides?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the first slide is about the challenge of AI in education. Everybody has been talking about those things these days, and everybody has been talking about this today. And I just want to show some of the recent papers that have come up in the past few years with some of the usual suspects here and some of the co-authors as well. And I would just like to say a bit about all those things, like what happens. So we have this AI-powered learning environments in terms of mobile learning, in terms of classroom design, in terms of MOOCs, in terms of personalization, in terms of so many different things, right? But then there are some challenges, and there's actually been quite a lot of challenges, and people have identified some of these challenges like security, privacy, ethics, cost, and depends on technology. I think that we can see all those challenges wonderful here today. For instance, the dependence on technology, right? There's no really Wi-Fi in the room, which kind of makes it a bit troublesome for everybody. So when you present something and there's no video on there, this is what I mean, like dependence on technology. So you want to show something, but actually this technology doesn't work, so you cannot show what you wanted to show. So now, many of these challenges can actually be addressed by something which has been developed at Zagreb University of Applied Sciences and also primarily there by Professor Zeyliaker and her team, which is called the infrared design. And what we will talk about today, we will talk about a particular way to address those challenges through an existing technology of infrared design. So infrared design is a security printing innovation unique in the world that enables companies to secure and protect the originality of their products. I'll show you a few examples, and you will also probably be able to see some of the examples by yourself, in practice. But I would just like to say a few words about the design and how it works. So, if you wish, so basically you want to print something very cheaply on any kind of material, including the t-shirt for instance, and then you want this security to be invisible to the naked eye so that people don't actually see that something is protected, but that it's actually protected. So what do we do here? We have, of course, you all know that light that we have in this room comes in different spectra. So we have the so-called visible spectrum and we have the invisible spectrum as well. So the idea is to put the invisible picture, which is visible in infrared spectrum, within the visible picture. So for instance, and again you will see some examples very soon, in this way you can have two pictures in one picture. So this is the example, and now we will also mention a few things about the AI. If you can see my t-shirt, and I usually wear shirts when I present, but this t-shirt is here for a good reason. So what we did here is that we actually made this image of Tunis, but it's an AI created image, it's not a real image, right? And if you take a look inside this image, there's actually something else, and that's the name of the conference, right? And this thing is like, you can buy this for $3 or $4. So with the technology that our teams has developed, you can basically put one picture into another picture, and which is really amazing because then you can actually make sure, for instance, if you buy a t-shirt in the souk or the bazaar, and you want to make sure that the t-shirt is original, well, you can check it, right? So the idea is that we have this technology in various different. So, for instance, this is the personal documents. So you can hide picture within the picture in personal documents. This is a very similar thing with this. So this is, for instance, face recognition. You can use this, of course, when you enter the room. So, for instance, the organizers put something like this here, and then they immediately know who is in the room and who knows where, who goes where, and who has bad bladder as well, something like that. Multi-factor identification, of course, things like this. And then you can print those things on various things. So you can print it on plastic, you can print it on a t-shirt, you can print it on paper, you can print it on all kinds of things. Like this, for instance, where you can have these messages on different kinds of canvas. This is also used in the pharmaceutical industry, which is especially important because when you have some tablets, you want to make sure that those tablets are original. You don't want to drink some fake Viagra or something. So the idea is that you actually can do those kinds of packaging, and so on and so on and so on. And now I think that the time has come to show a few examples. Okay.
Before.
Okay. Super.
What we have many words in many countries, in the United States, in Nikola Tesla in Croatia, British innovation in Malaysia, in Grand Prix, Euro invent global woman innovation, Innova in Croatia, silver medal in, and so many great awards.
Thank you very much. So the idea is that these award-winning things, now this has all been done before AI. But the thing is that now we come back to AI-powered learning environments, and this is basically the main, this is the topic of the conference, and this is something that we were curious about, because the infrared design has been developed for a while. It has been around for like 10, 15, even 20 years at its very beginnings. But now, with the big upsurge of artificial intelligences, and especially in education, because we both work in the educational sector, we work at the university, we now have an opportunity to actually apply those things, to mix the technology which is a bit older with technology which is a bit newer, and to see what kind of stuff combination of AI and infrared design can give us. So there are simple classroom applications. Everybody is speaking about, many people have spoken about things like, the use of AI in assessment, the use of AI in this. Okay, but how do you make sure that actually this is your student who is taking the assessment? How are you making sure that it's not somebody else taking the exam for them? How do you make sure that actually it's not an AI giving? So this is one of the things that you can do when you already have all this data, when you already have those AIs there. It's very simple to add one more infrared design layer and to actually make sure that in the classroom you can authenticate people in the way that you can be sure not just about assessment but also about authenticity. This is hugely important because nobody has mentioned today, as far as I'm understood, as far as I've heard, but it's hugely important, the problem, for instance, of plagiarism. Students using ChatGPT or whatever AI to produce their own coursework, which should be done by them. Infrared design, we can solve this problem quite cheaply, few dollars for a camera, some print, very cheap. Then we can move on to creative applications. When we mix things that are visible and things that are invisible, we can actually get various kinds of interesting applications in terms of pedagogy. For instance, we can do various kind of information hunting games and so on and so on and so on. I was listening a few days ago. One of the teachers put on Facebook. I don't know how many of you are on this old school method, and he said, okay, they gave the assignment to students, and then they put just the last sentence, and in your response use the word of this and this theorist. But this teacher, who was clever, made this text white, so the students don't see it. ChatGPT saw the instruction, students did not see the instruction, and of course, everybody who came back with an assignment citing this and this theories was obviously using ChatGPT in a situation where they were not supposed to use ChatGPT. So this is just a very simple, this is quite a creative application, but if you can do it in visible and invisible spectrums, then you can actually expand the ways that those things can be, like things like tagging things like geotagging stuff, city walks, any kind of learning, outdoors learning and stuff like that. So many applications. And the thing is that actually what this technology does as well is that it seemingly integrates with any kind of AI technology, because what we really have, we have some software and some packages that work all the way. So it works in 3D, it works in 2D, it works with video, it works with text, it works with, of course, image, it works with all kinds of things. So that's important, because the integration, again, of this type of security with AI is already there. It can be very easily made, and it actually provides a lot of good applications in simple terms, from this t-shirt that I showed, from to much more complex things. Now, our idea for this is that in this way we challenge we actually address practically some of the challenges that other people have mentioned. The challenge of security, secure implementation. The challenge of privacy, which is really important. We haven't talked about it so much for now, but actually the challenge of privacy is hugely important. Who am I giving my data to? Why am I giving my data to? And under which conditions am I giving my data? Of course, the ethics. The thing is that this works directly. So it doesn't require large databases. It doesn't require a lot of energy, though, by the way. Somebody mentioned that training of large models takes a huge amount of it. Basically, you have quite small databases that work very well in this way. And so it makes things easier. Now, cost. I think that I've already noticed, I was this infrared reader, I found on Alibaba for $2.50. You can get them for $4, $5, $10 if you want the better one. Now there are applications for certain phones where you can actually use your phone camera with an app for free, so that you can do those things. It's very important, because I believe not just in the Arab context, also in Western European context, also in American context, in the whole world. I mean, technology is expensive. We don't want, this thing is, this conference, we had a wonderful talk by a person from UNESCO speaking about things such as access, such as justice, and so on. We can develop hugely expensive technology. But what then? Who will use this technology? China has more than 1 billion people. It's important to have cost per person small. Because if your cost per person is big, and you have 1 billion people, then you're in trouble. Or if you just don't have the money, if you're a small country without the money, without the resources, and so on. So it's very important that this type of technology is not just about, I'm sure that there will be some other technologies that will address all those challenges. But this one is very cheap. And because it's very cheap, it's democratic. And because it's democratic, it brings about equality and social justice, which is, I think, hugely important. And finally, dependence on technology. And that's the one that I think we saw on this conference very well. I left it, I brought these slides a few days ago, and it was really, I didn't expect this to happen, but it did happen. So to our predecessor, you gave your talk, your videos didn't work, problem. What do you do now? You need to improvise, you need to do something. Now the idea is that technology, high tech is good, but sometimes low technology is very good. Sometimes if you don't have gasoline, if you don't have petrol, then the bicycle is better than a car. Of course, if you have petrol, then it's okay. But when you are out of petrol, then the bicycle is better than a car. Now, the idea is that here, we can really low tech in terms of sensors, in terms of all those things. It's very cheap, it's practically nothing. The key lies in the combination of infrared design and artificial intelligence software, which can be linked very easily, but it's also not heavy in terms of data. It's also not heavy in terms of programming. It's also not heavy in terms of algorithm. Basically, if you program it right, it can be really light, it can be really easy, it can be really energy efficient and cheap. Now, of course, this is just our offer based on the work that we have been doing over the years. It doesn't mean that, there will be other applications, there will be other offerings. But this is one offering, and I really believe that we really believe together that it's worth of your consideration. Thank you very much, and I wish you.